Okay, thank you all. We'll continue with the appointment of our vestry register, which I believe is Catherine Lee. Okay, Catherine, thank you. Catherine has done an excellent job at every one of our vestry meetings, not just in taking notes, but in communicating and helping us stay together. Catherine, thank you. Inside of your annual report are the minutes from our 2025 meeting. They begin on page 5, just past our bylaws. Please take a moment to review them, especially if you are new or weren't at the meeting last year. Take a moment to look at that. And as one feels moved, if there is someone who would like to make a motion to amend or change these minutes or to adopt them, you may raise your hand. Rick Ensminger has raised his hand.
I move to adopt the 2025 St. Francis Annual Meeting minutes.
Okay, who is the second? Okay, Paul Ward is the second. All in favor by voice acclamation?
Aye.
Okay, the minutes are adopted for 2025. Thank you, Rick and Paul. Okay, we will continue with the Senior Warden's remarks by Linda Davis.
Hello, everyone.
I'm going to come up here to the mic. Some people can hear. Do you need a hand?
Hello, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to be together and for that welcoming prayer, Father Weston. This is an opportunity to be together, and it's more than just pro forma this year especially. You can read a lot, but the one thing I wanted to say is to highlight, I think, a major piece of work we've all done together this year, and it's the Mutual Ministry Review. When we welcomed Father Weston more than a year ago, we had the opportunity, the challenge, the requirement to do a mutual ministry review with our priest in charge. Father Weston is occupying that position for a few years with us after perfectly matching the vision that we had for our next rector. And so we're looking together at what has our year been like as we've become and formed and transitioned into a family with our new priest in charge and Loriana. And I want to highlight this. You can all read it. You can read the remarks. What's most important is that we tried very hard to listen to everyone. This was mutual. Our ministry is mutual, and it's appropriate that we review what our life is together at least each year, and frankly on a daily basis, so that we can be accountable to one another and make sure that we are living out the beautiful call that you had, Joy, today in your sermon, so that we are in service together and we are appreciating each other's gifts and allowing each other to offer those. And so what we tried to do in the Mutual Ministry Review is to listen to every person, whether it was the parish gathering that we had, whether it was through committees and asking a series of 6 questions, whether it was individual one-on-one conversations. That's the theme of this executive summary, and there's just a few. I'll just read the top part. We can talk as you want, but this is what we will be sharing with Richmond, and I hope it reflects not only what we heard from everyone, but also the intent, and the intent that we will be going forward, I think, together, not only with our clergy and the personnel and the vestry, and the committees, but most importantly with every single member of the parish, to making sure that we continue to listen together in respect, in grace, in learning so that we can all be the best we can be in offering Christ's love and service. So I'll just quickly do that, and then the executive summary. The first year of shared ministry between the priest in charge, the vestry, the parish of St. Francis Episcopal Church reflects a season of renewed energy, growth, and faithful engagement alongside the natural challenges of transition. Feedback from parishioners, clergy, staff, vestry, and committees affirms strong appreciation for Father Weston's leadership, pastoral presence, intellect, and spiritual depth. Parishioners consistently described his ministry as compassionate, thoughtful, courageous, and grounded in Christian love. Across the parish, there is evidence of increased attendance, growth, diversity, expanded outreach, renewed emphasis on family ministry, as we all intended, strengthened arts and music offerings, thank you, especially Jess and others, and Larry, and deeper engagement with the wider community. At the same time, the review highlights areas requiring continued discernment and intentional development, particularly around communication, clarity of roles, volunteer capacity, pacing of change, and articulation of shared ministries and goals. Probably some prioritizations, too, as we go forward. The mutual ministry review process that St. Francis identifies and confirms that St. Francis is in a liminal but very hopeful space, building towards a shared long-term vision and sustainable growth. The parish demonstrates strong foundations for future ministry, along with a desire to ensure that its attention is given to the retention of shared, strong fellowship, our core. Clear communication practices, options for lay leadership development, stewardship of time and talent, and deeper integration of newcomers and long-standing members alike. So take a moment when you have time to read this. There will be a backup attachment that shares the responses of the different committees to the 6 key questions we have identified in mutual ministry. And most of all, just thank you for the ways in which each and every one of you contributes to our family here and makes it whole. Because without each and every one, we wouldn't be the same. And we certainly have room and additional rooms to welcome newcomers into the family. So, any questions or? Thank you. Thank you for being with us this year. You made a difference.
Linda, I want to thank you in particular. Some of you may not know this. We have a weekly call just about every Wednesday. We spend about a half an hour together, sometimes an hour. And Linda is in a very busy job with Veterans Affairs with the VA. And yet still an hour each week so that we can listen, coordinate shared leadership. And in the Episcopal Church, it's lay and clergy together. Right, that's one of the things that really defines us. We are side by side in how we minister together. And I'm also thankful for Linda's wisdom, not just as a longtime member here, but for the way in which she's listened and brought this MMR together to every corner of the parish. And that's a great skill in leadership. Linda, thank you. Thank you, thank you. Next is Pepin Tuma, our junior warden. Any remarks that Pepin wants to make?
Just about 9 or 10 minutes, I think.
9 or 10 minutes. A filibuster?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
I really do want to echo what Weston just said about, Linda, your work on that MMR. I think the care that you showed with it, the engagement with as many people and committees and entities within the church, really, I think, appreciate your diligence and your willingness to hear all of those different opinions and synthesize them. It's really, really grateful, and I think on behalf of the vestry, very much appreciated and gives us a really important place to work from. As the junior warden, my job is the people's warden, a phrase I really like. And under that is the auspices of the Buildings and Grounds Facilities, which I'm blessed to have Bryce Eldridge chair the Facilities Committee, because I certainly am not qualified to do that. But I do want to highlight, first of all, just a couple of things in the MMR briefly that I think are worth noting, and then talk a little bit about some of the biggest highlights we've had in Buildings and Grounds. First, in the MMR, I think we all feel like we're in a stage of transition, and that's noted here, this liminal aspect of where we are as a church. We feel it, we see it in the changes in attendance, we see it in the excitement, we see it in the number of people that we have preaching with us on the altar at a given time. We see it in the community we have, the fellowship, the excitement around the gala. We see it in the development of new outreach projects. These projects are the sign of a growing church. And I think is one of the things that I would like to communicate as the People's Warden, is that I am always open to have conversations about what that change looks like, what that change is. And I'm inherently resistant to change. I hate most change unless it's the kind that I like. Sometimes I don't know what change I'm going to like until I'm halfway or two-thirds of the way through it. But just know that I am very open to having conversations with anybody about these topics or any topics as we go through this. I think it's important for us to be intentional about thinking about where do we see our church going? What kind of church do we want to be? We know what kind of church we've been. We know what kind of church I think we are, but vocalizing that, having conversations about that, and being intentional, as I said, about how we grow and what we're capable of doing are all really important for us to do. In that topic, I will just note that there are opportunities to serve, and the MMR talks about shared ministry, and I think that's an important concept as well. I mean, I'm looking out over the folks in this room, and I know so many of the contributions, the ministries that you contribute to the church, from Altar Guild to the Gala to choir to facilities, on and on and on. But we also need more people, and we need maybe some, not always the same people to do everything. And I would just encourage us to be as I tried to be by joining Altar Guild, for example, is finding something that you might enjoy and trying something new, encouraging other people and asking them what areas that they may enjoy in the parish as well. At my previous church, I did say, I was asked to volunteer for something, and I had been waiting for that moment because my attitude was, if nobody asks me, they must have it all covered. I am here to tell you, we don't quite have it all covered. So I'm asking you to give some thought to how you may contribute differently or newly. And then I just want to note, it would be remiss if I didn't just highlight the facilities report and technology report, and just thank the great work of Bryce Eldridge and Alan Young and Dana Anderson. The roof in Harris Hall, the door on Harris Hall, us being able to get into this church today on a still snowy and icy day and park, the painting of of Millen Hall. There's lots of exciting work that has been done, but this is a 40-something-year-old building, and 40-year-olds, as I'm learning, plus, sometimes need a little rehab on themselves. And I just would keep a note that that's something to keep in mind. And thank you, Bryce. Thank you for the Facilities Management Committee. You've really kept this place in its beauty and its glory, and looking out and seeing the St. Francis in the Fields opportunities really makes me grateful to be here every day. So thank you all for the opportunity to serve as your junior warden, and I'll turn it back over to you.
Pepin, joining the Altar Guild was not on my bingo card for you. And I can't thank you enough for doing that. That's the right spirit we want, is to try new things and to recognize everybody, every ministry matters here. And on a personal note, Pepin, I know you've been a part of a lot of Episcopal churches, right? In Williamsburg and in DuPont Circle, but I know this is your home church. And the love you've shared with all of us on vestry, and nay, the whole parish, has been a great gift for a long time. And by bringing family members and friends here to worship, You've led by example, and I appreciate that. So thank you. Thank you. Before I invite Molly Reynolds to come up, I want to say just a few words. It's not easy to lead a church from a financial perspective. It's not easy to help a growing church continue to grow by being as well organized as possible, taking in all the new gifts that we're getting or increased gifts that we're getting, right? It's not easy. For a number of years, Molly Reynolds has been a treasurer. And this is a role that's an officer role, but it's really a ministry of the heart, because behind each person on a spreadsheet or each number is a story. And there has to be care behind each story. So I want to thank you, Molly, for this kind of heart ministry you've given. I know it's well beyond spreadsheets. It's helping new people get involved. It's encouraging your counter minions that you have on Mondays. It's encouraging our stewardship committee, which has grown a little bit over last year. Right? We keep moving forward, and a big part of it is your knowing this place so well and knowing people, and inviting them to participate. So I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart on that level alone. Thanks. Now you can come on up, and you can keep it brief. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. I know this isn't your favorite thing, so.
This is not. But thank you for your words. So, I just want to let you know, St. Francis is in good shape financially. We unfortunately don't have reports for you to see that, but just trust me, we are. And we will have a surplus. I'm not going to say how much because it hasn't quite gotten determined, but it will be there, and that's all because everybody has pledged, and they've remembered they pledged, and they give their pledges, sometimes even more than their pledge. And this year, in 2026, the pledges will come in at around 600, maybe not the 630, but who knows? I just got another one today. We're up to 100 pledgers, which is fantastic. And that's 600,000 as compared to 2 years ago, only 2, it was 450,000. And we've done a lot with all that new money. I was going to bring a piece of paper and some matches so that Weston could burn the mortgage, but I decided that was too dangerous. But we have paid off the mortgage in December, which and that gives us an additional $24,000 each year that we don't pay to the bank. Creche has increased their cost share, space use contribution, and they also contribute to Joy's salary because she works very closely with Creche, and that is a benefit to everyone. We've had successful fundraisers last year and years before. We've got one coming up, so make sure you're there, you spend, and you spend some more. The finance office, we're working with a new bookkeeper, but first I want to thank Carol Withers. She came on and took over. It was a challenge. It was a lot of learning curve. And she stayed on even after she told me she didn't like it anymore. She's still working there, and that's good. We need her, but we also need a new treasurer. Just one other thing. We have a parishioner whose employer gives matching dollars for her pledge. How easy can that be? If your employer does that, please, please look into it. I can fill out whatever paperwork is necessary. It just brings in more money for the church, for sure. So that's all I have. I don't know if there are any questions? Yeah.
It's not really a question, but I just wanted to re-highlight this paying off the mortgage thing. If you think about it, the sanctuary was early 80s, the parish hall was late 80s, there was an original mortgage, there was a second mortgage, there were refinancings. And this has been a long time. And to finally have that go on is a big deal for St. Francis. So
I totally agree.
there's been literally decades worth of work on, paying that down to zero. So congratulations, that's a good thing.
Yes. Yeah, there's a very good feeling. Okay, that it? Thank you.
And I want to put in a second behind Molly for Carol Withers. Where's Carol? Yeah. Carol is the one who comes whether I'm in the office or not. And my mom put a candy jar on my desk. And she loves to come in and get like a little candy and says hello. And it's one of the best parts of my day when I'm in the office. So thank you. Yeah. Next is Bryce Eldridge. Before Bryce comes up, the creche is firing on all cylinders. We are at full enrollment. We operate with a surplus like the larger church does. And as Molly pointed out, we've increased our share from the creche to the wider parish by 50%. Part of that is really working well together in mutual ministry. There is no us and them. That's what I keep saying all over our parish. There is no us and them. This is one of the best ministries of our church. If you've been here during the week, you know every child is so lovely. Every parent needs this place. We have moms and grandmas as their teachers. It's like an extended family for people who've just gotten back from being in the Ukraine, people who've just gotten back from living abroad, or who maybe don't have enough funds. They look to the church as an example. And I'm here to tell you the creche ministry is as strong as it's ever been. We celebrated 25 years just a couple Sundays ago, right? So raise your hand if you've ever been on the board or had a parent or had any involvement with the creche. Yeah, it touches a lot of lives. So thank you all who've made it strong. And with that said, Bryce, you want to come on up and make a few remarks? And I think we're streaming, right? Are we streaming? It's being recorded, okay. So you can be in persona Christi, as opposed to Christi.
I never do that well. Thank you very much. And I have to echo how strong the creche really is. It's 25 years ago, some very insightful leaders at St. Francis proposed a preschool as one of the core ministries. And it is, I think, one of our many very successful core ministries. And we are blessed with spectacular results. Christy Leslie's report in your annual printed page there on page 18 gives you some basic statistics. It doesn't even come close to telling you all that happens in here and all the joy. And the success is all about the teachers and the leadership that continues to demonstrate the love, the value, and the care that each individual child gets. The continued development of student enrichment programs adds to the dynamic creche learning program. The director, Christy, and the teachers are very inventive. They keep finding new ways to reach out to the children and keep the learning and the loving coming. So annually, Christy does a 12-question parent survey. It's about mid-year. I want to share a couple of the responses to question 12. Question 12 was, or is, what is it about the creche that makes it the best fit for you, your child, and your family? Some of the responses. I really feel like my daughter's loved and cared for in a way that's hard to find in other preschools. Another one, safe and nurturing environment. Teachers really care about the needs of each child. My kids have developed so much since starting the creche and love going to school. Another one, we love that our child gets to attend chapel weekly, learn about God, and is in such a joyful learning environment. The teachers have really brought out the best in our child. Another one, the welcoming and family-like environment provides us, as parents, confidence that our child is cared for, loved, and valued. The kids are clearly loved by all the staff. And the last one here, after some less than ideal experiences elsewhere, it's a very noticeable difference in how loved our child is at creche. That's really it. It's easy to understand our mission and our success in these remarks. And it all comes down to one word. They are really loved. We are fortunate to have a ministry that spreads that kind of love and starts at an early age and into the families. And it's thanks to all of you, many of you here now that started this, and keep it going. If you missed the 25th anniversary, I suggest you go out and look at some of the memorabilia on the table out there. Christy would love if you come in and wanted to visit the creche. If you wanted to contribute in some way, reach out to her. They're always looking for new ways to have the parish involved at all different levels. And I'm finished with that my remarks in there, but I need to put a plug in for Friday the 13th. Friday the 13th is a fine day, particularly March 13th, Friday the 13th. We're doing another Rise Against Hunger. We need you to sign up. It'll be a really fun Friday evening. It's in your bulletin. We already have 25 volunteers. We need 50 more. Bring your family, bring your grandkids, do it all. But please come out and enjoy. We really do have a good time. This is our fourth one, I think? Yeah. Thank you all very much. March 13th, Friday the 13th. Make it a great Friday the 13th.
The other day when we reopened, it was this past Wednesday, after all the snow, right when Fairfax County was still closed. Bryce was the first person out there welcoming people after Denny and Sisson Landscaping had done such a good job to help us open back up, getting people out of the car, making sure they were safe. Bryce, thank you for being such a good board chair. Thank you. Before I invite Deacon Nancy up, we are learning by a great example in Nancy Serby about what deacons do. Deacons who are local in a parish, deacons who encourage us to break out of our ordinary or the usual, deacons who travel around the world or around the country and bring back the love of God into our parish. And that's exactly what ancient deacons did. Right, in the deserts of Egypt, right? They were sent out by bishops. They were given what was called a community purse or alms. They listened to the Holy Spirit. They went where there was hurt, where there was war, where people were sick, where there were earthquakes. And part of the reason why the early church grew is because deacons fanned out all over the ancient Near East. Not just with alms purses, but a heart behind a gift. And so it's a gift not from St. Francis, but from the Diocese of Virginia, from our bishop. More and more, this diocese is recognizing St. Francis and bringing resources to us. And probably the most tangible is in the form of a person, Deacon Nancy. So Nancy, why don't you come on up, give some remarks, but thank you for this ministry you've started with us. Yeah, come on up. You still have your boot and you're moving fast.
That's right. Yeah, thanks, Weston. Great to hear the history. We have an ongoing conversation around money. And is that energy and a gift that we're giving as compared to the relationship in a human form? So it's been a great conversation. We'll continue it. And it's been just one example of how much I'm learning from you. So thank you. Appreciate it. I just want to say thank you for welcoming me here. It's quite the process. It's different, right, than when you guys called Weston or found Joy. Here I plopped into your world, right, from the bishop and our archdeacons, but I know that you guys did a lot of work beforehand thinking about what it might be like to have a deacon. So I just appreciate your welcome to me and appreciate that I still consider myself a baby deacon. I've been ordained since August of 2023, so I'm still learning. So we're learning together. Help me continue to grow, and I look forward to helping you all continue to grow as well. So one thing I think it's useful to the things I do in Sunday service are echoes of things we are supposed to be doing in the world. So let's just see if you can think about those echoes. So I proclaim the gospel, right? We're all supposed to do that. And in fact, I dismiss us into the world to do that, right? So I invite you to think about when you've done that. And then the other thing I do is I call us for confession, right? So we always... Well, I don't know about you guys. Maybe you're perfect. I am definitely not perfect. And so I need that time to accept that God loves me even so, and to turn again back to God and make that resolve. So that I think we do that, and we help others out in the world. They may not know it as Christ-like. They may just know that you are that caring person for them at that moment. And so sometimes we're Christ in action when we can't say it literally. And then the last thing is, again, that whole setting and clearing the table and feeding people. We do that quite a lot around here, right? And so I just think that, Invite, Welcome, Connect, or the fellowship, the Rise Against Hunger, the packing backpacks that Mimi's doing, we do a lot of that. And then the last is really dismissing us into the world, and so I think we all do that. And so I really think about not only my own diaconal vows, but the baptismal vows we all took. And I think we've done a great job thinking about how we live into respecting the dignity of all. I think that's super important right now, right? And how do we do that in a way that's gracious, God-filled, not polarizing? And I think that, again, Weston's a great leader, so is Joy, in kind of leading us in that way. I just want to say that there's been some Holy Spirit moments as I've worked with you. Even before I was actually here, when Weston forwarded me an email about Sherborne Deanery being in partnership with Diocese of Ezo, I had already had a trip planned there to see my college roommate. And so I'm like, whoa, okay, Holy Spirit, I didn't expect that. That's what you're supposed to do, be surprised, right? And so it was just a great honor, actually, because you all know I have the deep relationship, but I was able to kind of go there and listen and bring it back to you all. And I just want to say thanks to everyone's leadership, Jack's leadership of the overall outreach committee, and everybody that participates in that. We're always, you hear the common refrain, looking for more people and more ways to engage with that. So if you're interested in knowing how you might be out in the world in some way, Jack will have a lot of ideas, I'm sure, and so would the rest of us on the outreach committee. Thanks for Rise Against Hunger. Thanks, Bryce. That food that I got to help pack went to the Philippines to feed the insecure people. So we don't always know exactly where the food will be going when they pack it, but what's great about the organizations, they come back and tell you. So I really appreciate that. And then, we're getting ready for a trip, right? Jack and Leslie, I can barely see Leslie, there she is. And so we're gonna see Bishop Isaac and Mama Nora from the Diocese of Ezo, South Sudan in England because they can't get into the United States. And so we'll get a chance, I get to return back to where my college roommate is and where the Tompkins live, and we're going to get to deepen our relationships together. And so I invite you after this meeting, again, I get to make a plug, like Bryce made a plug. I'm going to set up a camera station right up here. Please come get your picture taken. Take only a moment. And then I have a little spreadsheet that you can take as many lines as you need to give me your name, email if you want the photo, and then answer some questions like what you would like to actually be quoted in the book that we're creating, this family photo album. And then what questions do you want us to ask we have a small group of us going, but we hope to carry all of you with us through your questions, and we'll try to bring that back for you, okay? I think that's all I need to say. And I can't stop without saying, there's a lot of things that St. Francis does well for years and amazingly consistently. As a relationship, 3 decades, right? That's just amazing. Thanks, Leslie and Jack and everybody. But we stood up for new stuff too, right? New stuff, like we heard this call of hypothermia shelter, and Christmas week, Advent to Christmas week was a gap, and they didn't have anybody there. And, we prayed about it, right? And thanks to Scott, where are you, Scott? And Jessica and Chris, Weston, all of us stood up for that. So I just think that was really good. And I'm serving at Facets every Friday at lunchtime, so I'm getting a chance to see those folks and say hi and hear how they're doing. Julie, who is a friend of ours, she had pneumonia. They gave her the right meds. She's all better. So, it really is being with our neighbors. So I do recommend talking to me if you're interested in Facets, and hopefully we'll serve our homeless neighbors in other ways. Thank you, everyone. Coming soon, maybe things to think about is disaster relief. One of my jobs is the ministry partner for the Episcopal Relief and Development for the Diocese of Virginia. And so thinking about how we might engage in that area is something coming. So thank you. Appreciate all of you. And I have to say what our diocesan covenant is and encourage us to live into it. Love Jesus. Embody justice. Be disciples. Thanks.
Nancy's one of those people who's so smart, I just get intimidated. And she's helped us grow in so many ways. And Nancy, thank you. Just thanks for everything you've done. Next is our Associate for Family Ministry, Joy Warburton, who I remember when I came to interview you at VTS. And we spent some time up in the upper room there in the second floor of the academic center. And I remember leaving that room, I think it was one of the prayer rooms they use, thinking to myself, I've prayed in this room before, but I'm praying harder than I ever have, that this wonderful disciple will say yes to this church a second time. And you have. And we have grown in love and compassion and connection thanks to you. So come on up. Thank you for being with us. A few words about family ministry. Thank you.
Hello, church. There is a sweet, sweet spirit in this place. Always, always. And I know it's the Spirit of the Lord. I love that hymn. And this is something that I feel here in this space. I want to take this opportunity to thank you all for calling me to this space. I am loving it. I appreciate every single one of you, but I tell you, this will not be possible without the leadership of Weston. Weston makes my day go easier. He demonstrates what integrity is, what a good role model is as a priest. And for me, a baby priest in training still, I appreciate that in you. So thank you so much. And to work alongside Deacon Nancy and Sandra, and also Lynn, who is our parish administrator extraordinaire. I love and enjoy, makes my job easier. And now I'm getting to know our assistant priest, Linda Calkins, as well. So I find myself in good company. So thank you. My role as the family minister, I am still learning and still working at it. And I want to, in my report, I did thank my committee members, and I'm seeing some of them here, who are working with me. And I appreciate every single one of you because it helps make my job a little bit easier. So thank you. And we're still trudging along. We're still trying to get everybody on board. It's a work in progress. And when I think I've only been here, since August, and we've made some strides. And I'm looking forward to all what we can do as the months go by. In my report, I thanked my committee members. I thanked my Sunday school teachers who are working with me. And I thanked the parents who helped with the Christmas pageant. But what I omitted to do inadvertently was to thank the parents who bring their kids on Sunday mornings and the children who comes in. Today, I was talking to a parishioner who said, "Oh, your eyes just lit up." Yeah, I saw all the kids, and I just gobbled them up, right? Because that's what I live for. That's sharing the gospel with our vulnerable ones, the little ones. That's important because they are the future of this church right now, here and now. Not tomorrow, but today. So I really mean to thank the parents, because getting up with the young ones in the mornings to come to church after a busy week is not easy. So I appreciate the parents. I appreciate the little ones, because their formation is important. Pepin said in his remarks that we need people, we think we have enough, but we don't. We still need more. Just this morning, after the 8 o'clock service, I got a new Sunday school teacher. Yay. So I'm still looking for more Sunday school teachers who would help, who would come around. And I'm also looking for our youth. They live busy lives, and I understand it. But I'm looking forward to getting together with them so we can be, we can get this youth group going. They're making time, but I need more time with them. So I thank you for your prayers, your continued support, and continue to volunteer, please, when there's a need. And I thank you, Weston, Deacon Nancy, and Sandra, and Linda for everything. Thank you.
In Joy's remarks, she mentioned someone who's with us now, our non-stipendiary assisting clergy, and Reverend Linda Calkins. Linda, will you stand up? Let's give Linda a round of applause. Sure.
I am here to support all of you, mostly Weston, but also Joy and Nancy. I have been retired now for almost 2 years, and somehow or another God keeps reaching in out of bringing me out of retirement. He said, "No, you are not done yet." So I am here for you. One of my favorite phrases is "been there, done that." And as a rector for 10 years up in northern Montgomery County, been there, done that. So, however, I am here. Thank you, Weston.
Thank you, Linda.
For allowing me to be a part of this community.
Absolutely. Thank you. Linda has already helped us on the labyrinth. When you called me, you said the labyrinth was really important. When you called me, you said spiritual practices were important to you. Already, Linda, you have helped us grow in labyrinth spirituality and contemplative spirituality, so I thank you for that. And I hear on Good Friday, St. John's is coming to us, and we'll start Good Friday out on the labyrinth before coming inside for a joint service. Thank you for being on the labyrinth on Good Friday. So for my remarks, I'm going to keep them brief. I wrote something a little different than I wrote last year. I wrote a kind of a spiritual journey story based on a movie, Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. Have you all seen that movie? It was one of those kind of moments that I had on Christmas Eve. You've all had moments where God spoke to you or touched you in a special way. I know that because so many of you have shared that with me. Yeah, it was on Christmas Eve when I had that kind of a moment where so much of the past and present and what could be the future sort of swirled around for me. And it was really, in some ways, sparked by Ginger Roll, I have to say. Ginger, who's not here. You know, Ginger Roll has been here since we were in Harris Hall, right? Is that right? Since we were doing dog kennel spirituality in Harris Hall. And what Ginger said she loved about St. Francis in the Field from the early days was the simplicity, the joy, the fellowship, right? And the focus on simply loving one another. And how easy it was at that time in the 60s, being in Harris Hall, to be church. There weren't all these other things we're now concerned about to worry about. You were simply in a dog kennel. And it was all the people who were your friends or you knew pretty well. And you would take the chairs and you'd unfold them, and you'd worship. And you'd look out a window, right, which has now been covered up by bricks, but you'd look out a window onto the green room here. Now we're so fortunate. We look out on a window onto a nice, bigger green room. What Ginger's story for me about the simplicity of the early church here helped me to see was that the gospel can be complicated or we can make it simple, like Ginger said to me. We can focus on the things that matter. The Beatitudes that Joy preached on today that we heard in the gospel. We can choose to be healers. We can choose to feed people who are hungry. We can choose to come near those who are poor in spirit and exemplify Christ's love. So what I wrote about was something I felt really deeply on that evening. And it's connected to the first time I came here on Holy Saturday, between a Good Friday and an Easter Sunday when I was scouting you all out. And hardly anyone was around. And I met a couple wonderful Franciscans who helped me to see that this beautiful place could be a place of hope, refreshment, resurrection, and deeper compassion. And I think those are all the ways we want our church to grow, right? Those are the ways we want our church and community to grow. So I want to thank all of you. And I have some other thanks. Larry Vogt and Jeannie Vogt, who aren't speakers here, but Larry and Jeannie, will you raise your hand? Let's give them a round of applause. Larry and Jeannie, both of you are a team, and you've built something special in this church that made me want to come here. And you've brought more music into the church, even from 2 years ago. We're becoming more and more a concert hall. We're involving people from other orchestras in our Sunday worship. And the heart, Jeannie, in your poetry and in your planning and in your thinking, and Larry, and your planning and your thinking and your heart to lead our choir is evident in everything you both do as a team. And I'd like to think that people come to church for good preaching and good liturgy. I think one of the biggest reasons I know it is because of our music, led by the two of you. So thank you both from the bottom of my heart for your ministry. So this is a time for any questions. This is an open floor time. It could also be comments. It doesn't have to be a question. It could be a comment. Any at all. Bryce.
I know Joy mentioned it, you've mentioned it, but I'd like to mention Lynn Fallon one more time. This church, I just think that if you get a chance, the next time you see her, give her a little hug and tell her how much you appreciate it.
Yes, thank you. So much of what we do day to day, Lynn takes care of. And Lynn lost her father recently. So if you do see Lynn around, please give her your love. It's a tender time right now for Lynn. I think that's the best thing you can do to support Lynn right now. So thank you. Thank you, Bryce, for that. Any comments, any questions? This is your time. It's your time. Anyone at all?
I have a comment. I just wanted to.
Catherine?
I thought about it when we were speaking. You know, we're at a time of a little bit of a transition with the women's retreat, and a lot of people who've been working on it for years and planning for various reasons can't do it. And Joy and Linda jumped immediately in offered to take that on and help us make sure that that happens. And we're very excited about that.
Yes, thank you. Any other comments? Any questions? Carol? Yeah, please. Try to project.
I was through the church for a long time, and I led to North Carolina for a period of time, and came back to this church, and it just means the world to me. And I've been to a lot of the yearly meetings, and I can say that this one is just so interesting, and you want to come back. The others, maybe not so much. So I just wanted to say that's a credit to your worship.
Thanks. Thank you, Carol. Leslie? Okay. Leslie asked if you couldn't hear, where is St. Francis on its journey to calling me as rector? Linda could answer that, but I could answer that. I mean, we are in a process where a minimum of 2 years, a maximum of 3 is what the diocese says. It's my intent I wish to be called as rector, but September is the earliest when I could be elected as rector. And part of that is turning in the mutual ministry review, being in conversation with Bishop Mark Stevenson, the canon to the ordinary. But it's really time. So September is the 2-year mark. And it's my hope that you all will call me as rector. And for those of you who are new or don't know Episcopal polity, that's like a permanent priest, right? It's not the kind of more temporary. Yeah.
We'll put it on the vestry agenda.
Okay.
For August.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you, Jessica.
I just have a comment.
Yeah.
The hypothermia shelter is a new project for us, and I know that at the beginning there was some hesitation and some concerns. And I want to say that I'm so proud of the parish and the way we all came together and made it happen, and we took care of our neighbors who needed our care. Even though we were a little hesitant at first, and it was scary and unknown. Thank you all so much for supporting that, and it means the world to me.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Jessica. Eleanor.
Shameless plug again, please sign up.
Okay, here we go. Great, thank you. Are there any others? Yes, Linda.
We were meeting, and a call out to the facilities committee, even while we were meeting, Jenny went outside and showed the walkway to our dog kennel, which is, every week, we probably have 4 times, at least 200 people in recovery live down there. And lives are saved because of the access to that building and the way in which we open ourselves. Some participate, in other ways in St. Francis, but I really want to thank Denny, Bryce, for enabling us to have that as a welcoming place, and for the prayers that you offer each week. It's a community that is anonymous, that you don't see, but it's a community that every single week lives ours.
Thank you. Yeah, and it's actually every day. We pray morning prayer every day. Recovery community is on our lips every day. Thank you. Gary Pan.
Yes, just want to comment on behalf of Troop 55. We have boys named the girls' troops here, and we've been here for about 40 years almost now. And it's actually almost 50 years, right? In 1978, we retired. I want to say that
Thank you, Gary. Let's give our scouts a round of applause. Thank you.
I'll do a plug too. So if you know any boys or girls that should be joining us, we'd love to have them come visit our troop. We meet at 7:30 on Wednesday evening.
Thank you, Gary.
Thank you.
And our scouts are like trail angels for hikers. They are around doing things that many of us don't see, but make our campus stronger and much more beautiful. So thank you, Gary. And Kevin Maxson, who is doing emergency comms with the Virginia National Guard right now, down in Southeast Virginia, but he's our charter link to the Scouts, right? And thank you, Joy, for being a good chaplain to the Scouts. Are there other people who'd like to make a comment or a question? No? Okay, before we move forward, I want to again thank vestry members who maybe haven't been recognized as of yet. Where's Larry Pratt? Will you raise your hand? Larry, thank you. You have guided our stewardship and our whole vestry, creche board, in a beautiful way. Thank you. Steve Riamaki, where's Steve? There's Steve. Steve, thank you for your guidance on many things. Family ministry, supporting the creche on the board, but for modeling good discipleship with your whole family and being a true family man. I remember when you came back from being gone in Maine this summer and thinking to myself, Steve's figured something out. Steve loves his family. You modeled together what a loving family is, and that's probably the best ministry I've seen you lead, you and Kate together. Thank you both. Thank you. Jessica Maxson, who's mentioned about our Renaissance and arts and music in her report, but thank you for helping us have improv and theater and additional music here and being a link to those communities and bringing your son to come back to be in those activities. Elizabeth Kim is not here because she's serving Bishop Mark doing translations for Holy Cross Korean, for whom we prayed today during his Episcopal visitation. But Elizabeth Kim, along with many others, including Leslie Sigmund and Lynn Fallon, have made it so we can have a new website. And it requires continual work. We've got to keep working on it. But simply launching a new website was a big deal. And again, Elizabeth was one of the big folks behind that. So we give thanks for her. And Chris Giragoshian, will you raise your hand as a vestry leader? Chris has grown and grown in his role as a mission liaison. And that was the clearest when we had our shelter. Chris was on the phone to his Jewish friends from multiple synagogues to come here. Was on the phone with the business community to have businesses come here and support our unhoused neighbors. And Chris, thank you for modeling what Deacon Nancy said. We all are called to preach the gospel. And thank you for doing it more and more. Yes.
I also want to recognize the importance of creating a group for people that are grieving, that
Yes.
are loved ones, and Jake has been an amazing leader.
Yes, thank you. If you didn't hear what Nilda said, Nilda wanted to make the comment, I want to recognize Kate Rihamaki, and I do too, for a grief group that has been here this fall and this winter. It's on pause right now. But Nilda said this group has meant a lot to her, and as I know it has to others who have been in grief of any kind. And so thank you, Nilda, for bringing that up. And Kate, thank you for hosting that here. Thank you. Any other comments or questions? Yes? Mimi?
Yes, well, when you're saying your little prayers, washing your dishes, or wherever, shoveling snow, four of the tribe members from Pine Ridge were picked up by ICE. They happen to be in Minneapolis and not on the reservation. One of them has actually been released, and I think because their families have been
Thank you for that sobering reminder, Mimi. If you didn't hear Mimi, she said that multiple members of the Oglala Sioux Nation, who are part of the Pine Ridge Mission, are in detention from immigrations and customs enforcement from our federal government. And that's so different than what the message of the church is, right? The message of the church is we are citizens by virtue of our baptism, just like those Oglala Sioux members are. And recently we had word from St. Thomas and McLean that two of our Christian sisters, Mohan and Mozan, were freed, right? They were freed. Some of you may not know that, but they were freed from captivity in Florida. And so those prayers continue until there is justice in our country, and our Christian witness to respect the dignity of every human being is more important than ever. 155 Episcopal bishops wrote a letter yesterday that went out in many major news outlets, and the title of the question they asked was, "Whose dignity?" That was the title of their op-ed. And if you know Episcopal bishops, they don't always agree on things, right? But when 155 agree, from borderland areas like Texas and Arizona to New England, where operations and enforcement actions have been pressing down on the people of Maine, the people of Minnesota, where our own Lynn Fallon comes from, it's serious. So, Mimi, I appreciate you bringing that up. It's because of our faith that we embody justice, not because of partisan politics, but because of our faith. Thank you for that prayer. Are there any other thoughts or questions? Linda?
I'm sorry if I wasn't hearing correctly, but I want to give a special shout out to Kathy Anderson and the work of the contemplative service that we have in the evening and all of the leadership that goes into our Monday evenings contemplative time together.
Thank you, Linda. I was going to get to Kathy a little bit later, but yes, I'm glad you brought that up. Yes, Reverend Linda.
There's also a beautiful video, I saw it on Instagram yesterday, of these bishops that are stating in person what they have written and sent out in that letter form. And you can see their faces and you can tell how very, very serious they are and how much they want to proclaim to whomever will listen whose justice.
Yeah.
Who belongs in that justice realm, and according to them, everybody does. So if you can find it, I don't know if it's on Facebook, but it is on Instagram.
Thank you. Yeah, it's part of why when I came here, I took the baptismal font. It was over there in the corner gathering dust, and I wanted it to be over here without dust on it, because the dignity of every human being is what we proclaim by our faith. Again, that transcends partisan politics. It's part of who we are as Christians. Thank you. Other questions, thoughts? Sandra?
Would like to thank everyone for the partnership, the formation. My formation at a very basic level, if you don't know, includes a commitment of Weston to meet with me about an hour each week of all the other meetings that he has, as well as my lay support team. I have to put everybody, my eyes on everybody, but lay support team that meets with me at least 2 hours a month. And like I say, then there's all kinds of paperwork and reporting evaluations in addition to that. And I did not come into the partnership just to check these boxes, nor has Weston been a supervisor who is just helping me check boxes. It is so much more, especially because of the clergy that has grown since he's been with you, but also because all of you have shown by example this lay ministry and this mutual ministry, which has been one of my own personal goals. To see it in action has just been incredible. Thank you.
Thank you. And yeah, thank you. Yeah. And Sandra, thank you for involving your whole family here. I mean, it's unusual to have a seminarian here on Christmas Eve, right? And for your son Liam to be so involved here has been a gift to me and to our whole church. So many continued prayers for Liam as he begins his residential education. And you're going to be with us a whole nother year, right? Yeah. Thank you for making that commitment. Any other comments, concerns, questions, thanksgivings? Okay, well then we will move to voting. So let's start with endowment committee members first. Two folks who I know aren't here in person, but whose names are clearly stated in the annual report. That's Joseph Hawk, and that's Bill Lane. So please correct me if I'm wrong, endowment folks, but they are 2 3-year terms. Molly, am I right? Yes? Okay.
Up to 2 3-year terms based on bylaws.
Okay.
Which he fixed.
Okay, which you wrote, okay. So we are voting on 2 members of the endowment, and just so you know, the endowment right now just reinvests into itself because of good stewardship of our funds. We want to grow it, so we're not even taking returns into our operating. We're really trying to grow it and encourage planned gifts if possible, or just outright gifts to the endowment. But we've had a couple of those recently, and it's really starting to grow, which is great. But since we're a 1960s church, we don't have centuries of growth and investment. So it's even more important when we vote for people like Bill and Joe to encourage them to grow it stronger. So would someone like to make a motion for Bill Lane and for Joseph Hawk to be voted in as members of the endowment committee? Okay, Joe Reynolds moves. A second from Kathy Anderson. All in favor? Aye. Okay, wonderful. Any nays? No? Okay. Okay, good. And now for vestry. So we have 2 members standing for vestry election. There's been a lot of news about that. That is Holly Piper and Kathy Ditmore. Will you raise your hands once more? Okay, Holly and Kathy, thank you both for standing for election.
We color coordinated.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did. And we have a third person we're adding, because if you go to your annual report, and a good friend of our parish reminded me of this year on page 7, last year, when we elected Pepin Tuma, Jessica Maxon, Chris Giragoshian, and Steve Riamaki, at the very bottom of page 7, note that there are 3 3-year terms and 1 1-year term. So what that means is one of those 4 has stepped up to serve 3 years beyond the 1 year they've just served. And that person is Pepin Tuma. So Pepin, thank you for being a 4-year member of the vestry, or standing for election. Are there any questions or thoughts, or are there any of you who would like to run for vestry? This is a time to run if you would like. No? No election year coups? Okay. So for 1 3-year term for Pepin, 1 3-year term for Holly Piper, and 1 3-year term for Kathy Ditmore. Would someone like to make a motion to elect these 3? Okay, Nan Young makes a motion, and Linda Davis is a second. All in favor by acclamation. Aye. Wonderful, and thank you, Kathy. Let's give them a round of applause. Thank you, Holly. Thank you, Kathy. So now we recognize those who are rolling off. Elizabeth is not with us, as I mentioned, but Kathy Anderson, whom Linda has already recognized. But Kathy, a longtime member of our parish, who makes our vestry meetings kinder, more filled with the Holy Spirit, The stories you've shared and the wisdom you've given all of us and me are a great gift. I have a gift for you on behalf of the whole parish. It's actually a book by a wonderful bishop, Marianne Buddy, of the Diocese of Washington, How We Learn to Be Brave, in honor of how you modeled that for us over your 3 years and more. So thank you, Kathy. And you have 4 grandkids being baptized here soon. What a gift. Thank you. Sure, please.
First, I want to thank Elizabeth Kim, who's not here today,
Yeah.
who has been really instrumental in the communications committee website, along with Leslie Sigmund. They've been tireless, and the website is a beautiful outcome of all of their work. So when you get a chance, please thank them. And Linda was another photographer, but lead senior warden, has led us tirelessly also. So
Thank you.
thank her. In Weston, he truly is servant leadership. I just can't imagine being on the vestry, so deeply spiritual, and every member on this committee in the vestry is such deeply spiritual people with commitment and compassion. And I prayed for years also that we would have more women leadership. And I'll tell you, we have an abundance. And I'm so amazing.
That's how you get things done.
And I can't wait to see what's going to be next. And for this vestry who loves all of you and is so committed, and you people too, this is a church of love. And they love all of you and this church just as much as I love this church. I love all of you, and it has been an honor and a privilege to serve on this vestry. Thank you very much, everyone.
And where is Joshua Kim? There's Joshua. Joshua, thank you for loving and supporting your wife, Elizabeth, and she to you. I wish she were here, but she's leading in her ministry. Elizabeth has modeled for me not just leadership here, but throughout our whole diocese, right? She's doing that today. And Joshua, I hope you give her all of our love today. She has been a wonderful leader and continues to be, and you're a wonderful supporter of her. So thank you. Thank you, Elizabeth. Okay. Is there any new business before we adjourn and have closing prayer? Any new business? This is your time. No? Our closing prayer is on page 2 at the bottom. It's our classic Franciscan prayer that I shared with our vestry. I've been praying a lot more recently in these times. And we'll say it together once we're ready. Lord, make us instruments of your peace. Where there is hatred, let us sow love. Where there is injury, pardon. Where there is discord, union. Where there is doubt, faith. Where there is despair, hope. Where there is darkness, light. Where there is sadness, joy. Grant that we may not so much seek to be consoled as to console, to be understood as to understand, to be loved as to love. For it is in giving that we receive, it is in pardoning that we are pardoned, and it is in dying that we are born into eternal life. Amen. Thank you, St. Francis. Thank you very much. Thank you. Be safe in the parking lot, heading home. Be safe, be safe. Yes, photos here for Ezo, if you would like your photo. We'll have another shot at that at the gala, too.